Well, happening this morning, we are taking a look at this year's Kids Count ratings, which have just been released this morning. And New Mexico is showing slight improvement.
Yeah, in fact, New Mexico moved from 50th to 49th for the year. New Mexico, along with Arizona and Nevada, our neighbors in the Southwest, all rank in the bottom 5 of a report that comes out every year, and it ranks states based on education, healthcare, and poverty for children. Here in New Mexico, the good news is that child poverty and teen birth rates are down, and the high school graduation rate is up. However, on the flip side, children living in high poverty areas is up, as well as a percentage of 8th graders who are not proficient in math. We'll have much more on this report later today on News 13 and at our website, KRQE.com.
The White House says the number of kids crossing into the U.S. illegally is dropping slightly. White House Press Secretary Josh Earnest says about 150 kids were caught along the Rio Grande border in the first couple of weeks of this month. That is actually down about 355 kids per day in June. President Obama plans to meet with the presidents of Guatemala, El Salvador, and Honduras, where many of the children have been fleeing violence. The U.S. is urging all 3 governments to help stop the problem. More Central Americans who are being held at the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center in Artesia have now been deported. The U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE, says a plane took women and children to Honduras on Friday, and another flight took a group to Guatemala and El Salvador. ICE says it will send more home very soon.
And Governor Susana Martinez's administration says New Mexico will not be sending National Guard troops to the border. Yesterday, Enrique Now, a spokesman for the governor, said there were no plans to deploy the National Guard to the border for a state mission. Texas's Governor Rick Perry plans to send 1,000 National Guard troops to the border next door. However, Mr. Nell says Governor Martinez agrees there is a role for the National Guard when it comes to protecting the border. He says the governor disagrees with a federal decision to stop paying for programs that sent troops to the border. Well, at 5:33, police in Albuquerque are looking for a missing woman they think could be in danger. Take a look. Her name is Deborah Vasquez. Her live-in boyfriend called police after she didn't come home. Police say the boyfriend told them the two had an argument and Vasquez left to cool off. Several hours later, he says Vasquez called and texted him to call police. Ms. Vasquez is 42 years old. She is 5'5" and weighs about 150 pounds. If you see her, please call police.
A family's dog is dead after being attacked by a swarm of killer bees. Now bee experts are worried there could be more attacks. Last week, a rancher near Tatum reported a massive swarm attacking his dogs. Beekeepers call it the worst they've ever seen. One of the dogs was stung more than 40 times and died. The beekeepers think recent rains may be making the bees more active. Killer bees have attacked before in New Mexico. Back in October, they killed 3 birds at an Alamogordo zoo. The Department of Health is reporting New Mexico's second case of the plague this year. Officials say a 43-year-old woman from Rio Arriba County is still hospitalized after catching the disease back in April. A 57-year-old man from Torrance County contracted the first reported case. He is still recovering. That bacterial disease is found in rodents. It is usually transmitted to humans through the bites of infected fleas. There were 4 human plague cases in New Mexico last year. One of them was fatal. The Department of Environment says that there is E. coli and other bacteria in the water at a popular tourist spot in New Mexico. The department issued an advisory to boil water today for people in the town of Madrid, specifically for those that are in the Mine Shaft Tavern water system. The Mine Shaft Tavern says it is using bottled water at its restaurants. The Environment Department is now helping to fix the problem.
Well, a new system will allow some people here in New Mexico to see a doctor from almost anywhere. Starting in January, most folks with Presbyterian Health Plan will be able to see a doctor through video visits using smartphones and computers. The doctors are from a company out of Florida and will be able to help patients with appointments that are not emergencies. We're talking things like the flu. And for most patients, there will not be a copay for this. Presbyterian says video visits should particularly help folks in rural areas where it's harder to get a doctor's appointment or you have to drive far to get one. And if you have a quick question for a doctor, but you don't want to make an appointment to ask, or maybe you're even too embarrassed to, then listen to this. ABQ Health Partners is having a Twitter chat with doctors today. All you have to do is tweet them your questions. Send a tweet to @ABQHP and include the hashtag AskABQDocs. The Twitter chat goes from 5:30 to 7:30 tonight.